So I have a question for you. What if I told you that strength wasn't meant to be defined by suffering, right? That the next level of your power is actually on the other side of letting go of that identity. So, it's me, Naftali. I want to talk to the leaders. I want to talk to the ones who've carried the weight for so long that pain became part of their identity. The ones that are the strong ones, the ones who show up, they push through, they hold it down. And somewhere along the line, they started believing that their value came from how much they can endure. But let's break that down for a minute. Because there are real reasons. There's real reasons why we cling on to old identities, even when they hurt us. Thich Nhat Hanh said that people have a hard time letting go of their suffering out of fear of the unknown. They prefer suffering because it's actually more familiar. All right. And sometimes, yeah, people do stay attached to their pain because it is the only identity that they have ever known, especially when something happens to them while they're young. The struggle becomes the only story they knew, and healing can actually feel more painful because it's like they're letting go of themselves, right? It's like you're walking away from your roots. But healing isn't about losing yourself. Healing is about reclaiming who you were before the pain became your label. And so I want to speak to the people that are leading others, right? Those people that help empower others. There's so many people that are helping others because they've been through so much pain. Okay? And here's the thing that I had to realize for myself is that your people don't need your wounds, right? They need your wisdom. Yes, your story is powerful, but it's the lesson, not just the pain, that makes you a guide. But you may be limiting yourself to simply that survivor. And that also gives everyone that you lead permission to set that ceiling, right, for themselves, as long as they find a big enough pain that they can associate that too, right? Because you're limiting yourself and keeping yourself stuck in that identity. They want to do the same thing as they follow you. Okay? Leadership isn't about venting on the mic. It's about bringing people your wisdom, not just your wounds. Okay? So use your pain and struggle to connect, to break down the barriers, to symbolically say, hey, I feel your pain. I've been there. I understand. I get it. I hear you. Then, once they know that you're speaking out of that experience, that you're not just talking on theory, then at that point you can show them what it's like on the other side. But that is also a challenge for people because actually getting to the other side means that you have to actually take the time to heal, right? To find healing, to actually go in yourself. Because when you don't, okay, and you don't lead from a healed place, you don't create the permission for others to do the same. And instead, you just create more people that walk around the world hardened and we're in a shell that we call healed. But really, we're just keeping ourselves protected. And that's not what we need. Because we need people to be able to step into their full, authentic self. Right? Because when you step into who you truly are, the world will make space for you. And for many people, being completely authentic, transparent, vulnerable doesn't mean you share every little tiny detail about yourself. But being in that space can be very hard for people. It can be very scary for people to actually truly be themselves. But when you step into that space, the right people will align with you and the world will make space for you. And to keep it really real, this was very personal for me. You know, I realized I was still operating in that strong survivor identity. Like, I had to carry the pain to stay connected. I subconsciously believed that if I let go of this identity, that I would lose my ability to truly connect with those I was trying to help. And not only that, right? The shift in identity usually causes a shift in relationships. So when people that know you one way and you start to change, they may not accept this new version of you. And that's the real truth. And that is a pain that some people are just not willing to go through because, again, it puts them in such an unfamiliar space. But the worst part for me, I felt, is that I didn't even realize I was still holding on to this belief. I thought I moved past it. But that awareness that I came to, it sparked a whole new level of identity transformation for me. And that's what I want to talk you through today. Okay, and I call this the Changing Crowns framework. All right, Changing Crowns framework. And in shifting crowns, right, we're shifting our identity. Okay, when we shift our identity, we shift how we see ourselves. And when we shift how we see ourselves, we shift our life path. So let's dive right into that Changing Crowns framework, right? So step one of changing crowns is really you have to identify the old crown. You have to identify the old identity that you're working in now. And hopefully you're frustrated with this identity. Hopefully you feel kind of stuck, so you want to let it go. Because you're going to need a reason that you actually move forward and shift that crown. But if that crown is just too comfortable, you may not want to let it go. But what is really causing you to still hold on to it for now, right? Or why is it no longer serving you? It may have helped you to get past that suffering that you were going through. It may have helped you get through that pain that you were in, right? But is it still serving you now for what you truly want in your life? And where has this old identity caused you pain? Right? So me, with my beliefs being stuck in that suffering survivor or strong sufferer type identity, was really that there was more growth that I wanted, but I didn't allow myself to step into that new level of growth. So I kept circling around the same old block. And that became frustrating for me. Right? But I was holding on to something that I didn't realize was just not serving me anymore. So step two, after you identify that old crown, you want to envision your new crown. All right? Who do you want to become? And really think about this, not just the things that this person, this version of you has, but how does this person think? How does this person lead? How does this person act? How does this person love? How does this person respond to situations? How does this person think? Right? Who is this person being on a regular basis? How does this person feel? Right? And what's one action you can take to symbolically step into that new identity? Once you figure out what that identity is, so one thing for me when I was stepping to a different level in my life is I just started shifting my wardrobe. I started dressing a little bit different. I started dressing nicer. I started wearing, better clothing and stuff so I could feel different. So that was one step that I took to shift my identity and how I felt about myself and the value that I saw in myself when I started valuing myself more. So the step three is just embrace and reinforce this. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Daily reminders. That list that you made of who this person is, how do they act, how do they talk, what do they think like, what do they believe, how do they respond, how do they love, all those things, write them out. Review them. Look at them. Remind yourself of who this person is, who this person being every day. Visualize. Take time to sit down for 20 minutes, for 15 minutes, for 5 minutes, and just visualize yourself being this person, feeling like this person. But one of the biggest things is give yourself some grace when you slip, because you will slip. You may respond like your old self, and that's all right. You may do a habit that, your new self doesn't really do anymore. That's okay. You have to give yourself grace and give yourself patience because you're only human. And so it takes time to shift. But the more that you beat yourself up about slipping up, the more that you'll be attached to that old identity. Okay, we don't move past the old identity by ruthlessly hating it. We actually move through to that new identity through love and patience. Okay? So, one quote by Alan Watts, he said that you are under no obligation to be who you were yesterday. Every single day you wake up, you have a choice on who you're going to be that day. Every single day you wake up, you have a choice on how you're going to feel. You have a choice on how you're going to think. You have a choice on how much you're going to value yourself. So wake up and make that choice consciously. Don't let life make it for you. So this week, I'm going to challenge you to do some of this inner work, to identify the crown that you've been wearing, to choose a new one. And I want you to comment below. What identity are you ready to let go of? Right? What's the new name, right, of the new identity that you're putting on? Because family, real leadership starts with you. When you start to change your story, you change the system. You shift your legacy. Right? T.S. Eliot said that every moment is a fresh beginning. So, thank you. And I just want to remind you to like, comment, and share if this really resonated with you. And if you're ready to go deeper, join me and other men in the Men of Alignment community and reclaim your crown today.